Okay, this is take two. Unfortunately, I accidentally somehow managed to leave the stream audio in take one, which is a real shame because I just recorded like half an hour of game. So yeah, welcome back. This is round 4 of Swiss. We are both 2-1. Me and my opponent Oscar. We're playing on stream. He's playing Pidgeot BombTar. This version of the deck has become like, you know, quite a bit more popular in the last, like, honestly, month and a half, I guess. So yeah, it plays, you know, sort of, you know, like 1 or 2 Cess, 1 or 2 Curse Stone, and it doesn't play Warp Points, like, I don't think at all, honestly. And it doesn't play the Holon FF and Fire basic energy combo, but in exchange it gets to play Quick Search, which is egregiously broken, honestly. I think that this version of the deck is more powerful. You know, it's a little less linear, and it's a bit harder to lock your opponent truly out of the game before it started, but in the right hands, this version of the deck can do, you know, as much, if not more. It also has like a better time playing like ATM Rock. It plays Candy. It can play Retriever. So yeah, this is an interesting matchup. Now I have a sort of middling opening hand. I just do a researcher. So I go get Trico because I have to have a target to be able to Delta Draw with. And really, I'm getting Trico just as like a, oh, what if I Delta Draw into Candy Sceptile and lock my opponent out of the game? But yeah, that's probably not going to happen that cleanly. Oscar's gonna transceiver probably for a mentor and start getting set up. In this game, I've not prized Regirock, I've not prized Sceptile, so I have all tools available to me. I did prize the Stantler, which is a big shame, because Stantler Push Away and Stantler Screechy Voice are really, you know, able to run this matchup for me. Between sort of Regirock, Sceptile, and Stantler, you've got 3 different tools that you can use to sort of like disrupt your opponent's game plan. You know, you could also be playing like Roselia with Flick Poison. I don't have that in this list. I don't think it warrants the deck space in Imprison. Like, it's a really good card, but not in Imprison. I don't think it's better than just playing Stantler. And I play the Ray EX, but like Special Circuit is not very efficient into Dark Tyranitar. You know, I hit you for 30, and you know, that doesn't fix any numbers. So you have to Special Circuit twice, and at that point, your opponent is rocking with a Rayquaza that they can sort of ignore because it doesn't actually properly threaten their Tyranitars, and it's 2 prizes that they can sort of pick up when they're going for their nice comeback off of they can pick it up with like a bite off. Anyways, so I think I did take another turn, and it's just like it was just like attach Delta Draw again. I'm going to evolve to Curlier, attach again, so I'm really getting my attachments, but not much otherwise. And I'm just going to Delta Draw one more time. Delta Drawing for 1, my hand must be just awful. But yeah, in terms of what Oscar should really be doing here, like, he's going to Transceiver for an Adventurer and just continue to set up. We find out later in this match that he does play Magnemite. I would just like to have seen him just go get a Mentor and stop trying to potentially see an energy to move the Jirachi and just go guarantee it. Because honestly, if you were setting up right now, the sooner you can pop this Electrode, the better for you. That's why the Cess BombTars play, you know, such high count. They play the 2 count of the Make-A-Wish Jirachi, because just like you have an inevitability that in sort of 3 or 4 turns you can pop a bomb and you'll have a T-tar to go with it. Finding energy and like POW and all that sort of stuff is just sort of like, you're trying to just draw that. But you know, that deck does get set up, you know, reasonably faster most of the time. He's going to wish into something and just pass. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him just pop the Electrode just to go 2 prizes down if he had an admin to go with it. But he doesn't venture away an admin just then. So, you know, that's an important resource to keep track of as we move forward in this game. I think I've drawn a transceiver for turn, or off of the whatever it's called, delta draw. So we're going to slam that down. At this point, you sort of want to, so as Imprison, you kind of want to just like have Regirock on the bench. And, you know, no energy attached. If you expect to put Sceptile in play, you're going to want to attach 1 energy to it, because otherwise you won't be able to jump hand attack with it. In this position with no Sceptile, I can just leave it energyless and just jump, attach, attack. It's really a silver bullet. Because Oscar can pop an Electrode and go down 2 prizes, but if I just have Regirock on board with a Castform on board and an Energy Jump Gardevoir, which Energy Jump Gardevoir basically just doesn't die. It really struggles to die to bite off or to grind, especially with the Spec Metal on it so early. You need to sort of like kill it over a couple of turns with Curse Stone, or over 2 attacks, you know. So yeah, this Regirock is a bit of a silver bullet. Lightning Rod is a bit better. You know, my board and my hand is so bad, I am just going to attach to the Regirock. But yeah, if Oscar pops the Electrode and doesn't chase the Regirock, he can just lose a T-tar. And honestly, if he has 2 T-tars, that's kind of fine by him, but you know, he's not really got like a brilliant prize map. Otherwise he can, I mean, if you pop T-tar, Spinning Tail, and with an admin, as long as nothing evolves, you're in a pretty good spot. If things evolve, never mind, is the problem. So, you know, Oscar's gonna get online. He's gonna wish into that Candy Pidgeot, which I am still without, despite having Delta drawn. Like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of cards. You know, I'm not wishing with Jirachi, so I'm not like checking top 6, but I'm drawing that much that I really should have found a candy by now. Oscar's just gonna quick search for another candy. I think he's just gonna make a T-tar. But yeah, like, if I could choose what I was doing right now, this last bench spot, you know, would be Stantler, and I would be using Push Away, and so there's a Castform on my active, right? Sorry, there's a Castform in my active, so I've got 2 Castform left. Yeah, he's gonna candy out that T-tar, and he's gonna slam an admin. I don't know if you do that here. I don't think you need to do that here. Admin is one of the pieces you're looking for next turn to go with your Electrode pop, because your Jirachi's asleep and you're not popping now, are you really? I'm pretty sure you've demonstrated that you won't be popping this turn. So yeah, I don't know. I think keeping your admins is really important with this deck. You know, what are you digging for? It's like you have a scramble in your discard. I mean, maybe you're just digging for like Pupitar. Well, there goes a point to the other version of BombTar. Anyways, yes, there's a Castform in my active, so I'm down to 2 Castform. But what I would like to be doing is having a Stantler in the active and using those Castform as attaches with Stantler after attaching Cyclone Energy. So, oh my god. I beg I can remove that in post, but you can probably just hear that. Anyways, ring doorbell. So yeah, you'd have Stantler in the active. I'm gonna get a Castform down off of the adventure. I'm not gonna find Candy Pidgeot. I'm well sad, but I am gonna get a Castform down. I can push away twice on this Jirachi, and then I can attach Cyclone, and then I can cast form the Cyclone back, and I can push away a couple more times, and then I can attach cast form, and I can return the Cyclone to my hand, and I can Cyclone again, and I'm gonna get a lot of value out of just like a Stantler. You know, I'm gonna get like 4 or 5 pushaways realistically, if I had one, which is a lot of resources to discard. You know, the Pidgeot BombTars, they play thinner lines of like consistency cards that you want a lot. So like he's gonna play less POW. He could play less admin. I don't think he would. You know, Screechy Voice is gonna stick a bit better against this deck. Well, Oscar's shown that he does play Warp Energy, but you know, I wouldn't assume he played it in a high count. I would assume like 2 Warp Energy. You know, I wouldn't assume any more than that. Yeah, so having Stantler would be great. Alternatively, seeing as I don't have Stantler and I don't want to use Rayquaza EX, I could Mew Star copying Spinning Tail. So if you copy Spinning Tail twice, all of the Tyrannitars on the board will be able to be KO'd by Flame Ball. That's like a fun, neat bonus. It's not great, but it is far better than doing nothing, because it means that you stop having to rely on Regirock for your knockouts. And being able to sort of take KO with things that aren't, you know, very vulnerable to Prizer is very useful. That said, you would probably just be using red Gardevoir, the EX. You'd probably just be using the Imprison Gardevoir at that point, which can very much die to a bite off, but you know, it is what it is when you can't Stantler spam. Oscar's, he's playing really passively. Like, it's important for me that I play passively. I'm not so sure, like, if Oscar can just make a second T-Tar, I don't think he needs to play that passively. He's gonna try and retreat, but yeah, he can't because the Jirachi's asleep. So he's gonna change where he touches that energy, and that's gonna sort of delay him by a turn. I think he's clocked that he's set up enough that he doesn't have to worry about. He doesn't really have to worry about continuing to set up. You know, you don't need the perfect turn. You just need a turn where your opponent breaks. So yeah, he's given me a lot of time to work with here. I'm gonna go for the Lynette, and if we're in this position, like this board state, you know, I'm getting the Jirachi out of desperation, but really, like, you'd expect me to get Stantler here. So at this point, my opponent either would know, oh, okay, either he doesn't play Stantler, or it's prized, or it was already in his hand. And you can do sort of likelihoods on however you want on that. I'm gonna go for the Jirachi because at this point, I think I'm holding like 15 cards. And there might be 15 cards on the board, and there's 6 in the prizes, so I really ought to hit a rare candy, and I just don't. That's kind of unlucky. It's not miserable, you know, like Oscar goes for the POW, knock out the Regirock, admin to 4. I don't want to get a response play, you know, like I don't want to take a response KO, sorry. So I could just move from there to Stantler. One of the most important things in this matchup is being the last player to go to 1. At 2-2, the BombTar player kind of wants to set up either an ATM rock play or yeah, they just want to set up an ATM rock play. They want to use Spinning Tail enough that you're threatened so much that you have to like attack with Regirock, at which point you'll put Scrambles back on because you'll be at 1, and then the BombTar player can just like use Bite Off and KO the Regirock. So yeah, you don't want to go to 1 as the Imprison player at 2-2, honestly, like, it's weird. Sometimes you're just like using Psychic Rage. Sometimes using Psychic Rage. Sometimes you're kind of just sitting there and using Giant Stump to remove Pokemon to force your opponent to take the one prize. But more importantly, like, you really want to be using Stantler. If you can Screechy Voice the active T-Tar, they start to have to flip for all their attacks. And realistically, what most BombTar players, you know, especially this version of BombTar where they don't have the warp point, they'll retreat out into the other BombTar sometimes. And because of the prizes are at 2-2, they won't be able to pop a bomb. So what you're doing is you're delaying that inevitable turn where the BombTar player has enough energy under 2 Tyrannitars to just say, I don't care about going to one prize because I have 2 murder attackers and I'm just going to kill you. So yeah, you really want to, you know, try and use Stantler to delay and to be able to do a Screechy Voice once and then start pushing away and just like removing useful cards from your opponent's hand. If you can get rid of POWs and stuff, you know, Oscar's going to go for the... Oscar's going to basically getting us there by himself. He's gonna take the initiative. He's gonna pop the bomb. He's gonna POW the Regirock. He's gonna put a Cess on his active. He's gonna put a Curse Stone into play, and then he's gonna admin us both. Well, and I'm gonna go to 4 with no Pidgeot in play with a dead Regirock. If I don't hit a way to move this T-Tar, he has played it in a way that this game is basically over. This is what BombTar's trying to play for, you know, and that's why I'm saying sort of like Oscar should have gone in way earlier, because he's trying to play for this, you know, you draw nothing off of my disruption and my one attacker takes over the game. But I've played so many cards at this point, and he's put very little pressure on my Windstorms. You know, there's no just like drop a random Curse Stone, you know, just get a Windstorm out of my deck. Drop a random Cess if you have more Cess, you know, because I kind of need abilities to play. And I guess Cast Form Drawing, I didn't really need to play. I didn't really need any abilities, but usually when I'm set up, I will need abilities. Off of the admin to 4, I draw Cyclone Energy, so I have a Cess out. Cyclone Energy is probably the worst Cess out possible because, you know, I'm pushing away the BombTar that is the threat. However, I do top deck a Windstorm, so I have both. And I can Windstorm away both of those 2 Problem Tool and Problem Stadium that Oscar's put down. Just a little bit more on the whole prize trade going 2-2 against the Holland FF Fire BombTars. It's like even more important that you try and make your opponent go to 1, because you can't one-shot you can't Regirock KO T-Tar when it's got FF and Fire on it. So what you're gonna have to try and do is force your opponent to take 1 on like the Stantler. They go to 1, and then you can POW off the FF or the Fire and reactivate their weakness. So I'm going to Transceiver here. I'm going to discard the Sceptile, which is a bit, you know, aggressive, but I do play 2 Retriever. You know I'm going to play 1 Retriever to get Regirock this game. I could technically play the other Retriever for this Sceptile. If all of the other cards in my hand are better than Sceptile, then that's fair enough. And I think they were. I think it was like, I had like the Scientist, I had another Transceiver, and I had the Sceptile. And like, you kind of have to just toss the Sceptile at that point, because otherwise you will get bodied by bricking yourself. I do find a Retriever off the Wish. We'll get Regirock back down. And I'll get an energy under it again because, like, I just, you know, when I get admin low, if the Regirock's still alive, having to draw one less card to make a Regirock attack happen is really important, as Oscar's going to go for world's biggest Steven. And from here, really, the ball's in his court. He has 4 prizes in play. Like, he can go Spinning Tail this turn, set Trico to 2, Pidgey to 2, Castform to 2, Castform to 3, and Jirachi to 2. And then with a Bomb Pop, or if I was to take a KO, he would just be able to power up the Jirachi, power up the Castform, attach a Special Dark, and go ahead and Spinning Tail for 4. So honestly, all he wants to do is Spinning Tail here. He's going to Quick Search for the Dark, actually. So maybe he's on it. But Oscar's kind of low on admins at this point. We've seen 1 discarded, 1 played. You know, I'm sort of thinking to myself, okay, he's playing Pidgeot. Maybe he doesn't have all 4 admins. He plays a second Curse Stone. I don't think you need to play the second Curse Stone here. Like, fine, do it. But you are giving me an out to, like, go to 1 prize here. I could stump, discard, like, I mean, this is my last turn to find Pidgeot. If I don't find Pidgeot, the game's over. Yeah, I'm just going to damage fix on that Gardevoir, because it takes less because of the Spec Metal, but it still takes the Curse Stone tick. And I'm going to draw for turn, and this is my last turn to find Pidgeot. And I do have the Windstorm for the Curse Stone, and I do just Transceiver the Scientist because Oscar drew 1,000,000 with Stevens last turn, and I'm just going to try and hit it. I'm trying to think. So you hit Pidgeot here, and like, well, if you can make a Sceptile, hell yeah. So what I'm looking for is, yeah, okay. So I'm looking for Pidgeot. Like, all right, it's a long shot, but you want to kind of go Pidgeot, Candy Sceptile as well. Then I want to attach a Warp Energy to Jirachi, and I want to Warp into Pidgeot, and then I want to Giant Stump discarding Castform and Jirachi. Then I want to Windstorm that Stump away, bench Stantler, who I think I've now taken off the prizes. Bench Stantler, attach an energy, go to the active, Screechy Voice. You know, that would be the best play. If I can't make Sceptile, I think I need to move this Jirachi, put the Castform in the active, and Giant Stump away Trico and Castform. And like, I remember this turn that I do Quick Search and I hover the Stump for a bit, and I'm just thinking to myself that I think the lines are okay for me to not need the Stump this turn. So I take the Retriever, but like, nah, man, get the Stump, remove. You know, you don't even have to discard Jirachi. You could just discard the Castform Trico. Discard 2 of your opponent's. No, I think you need to discard Jirachi here. So Oscar's played 2 Curse Stone. What's the likelihood that he plays 3? Not very high. If he played 3, keeping the Jirachi around could be a problem. Yeah, because then I guess Oscar could start setting up for ATM Rock, but there's nothing really evolved on my board. Like, he would get 1 out of Pidgeot. Oh, so I guess if he played a 3rd Curse Stone, he'd be able to, like... Nah, you need to stump away the Jirachi and the Trico. I think I have no play available to me. I could have Quick Searched for the Stump play, but as I said, in the moment, I don't think I have to do the Stump play. If I don't do the stump play here, like, Oscar just goes evolve to Electrode, power up Regirock, KO, and with a Dark attached to his bench T-Tar, he's, you know, he's at 2, I'm at 2, and he can just Spinning Tail for game. And like with an admin, I have 2 cards to find a response play, and the response is find a Giant Stump and use Stantler. So like, I really don't, I really dislike this from me. I think I just made a bit of a blunder there. It's not, you know, the most like clear-cut line on the board. It's not like, oh yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen if you do this, if you do that, this will happen. So Oscar's got, you know, half of his deck in his hand, and he's trying to figure out a way to navigate this Regirock basically, and I think what he does is he looks at his deck, he realizes that if he does one more Spinning Tail attack, he'll take 3 prizes, and he will be able to Pidgeot Quick Search for the ATM Rock on the next turn, and just Devo my Pidgeot and take the game. So he goes for, I think, yeah, Attach Dark, and he goes Retriever for the Electrode, and he pops the bomb so that he can get power access, and he powers and takes 3. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he pops the bomb so he can pow and he takes 3. You could just Spinning Tail for 2 there, and I think you're in like a crazy good position. Because I didn't Giant Stump. You could literally have just Spinning Tail for 2 and still been in a really strong position. You know, I would still have to go through a T-Tar, and he would have an Electrode on the bench. So the second T-Tar would, you know, with the Electrode pop, be ready to go. But yeah, Oscar decides to go for the pop, decides to go for the prizes, and he doesn't have an admin to pair with it, and I'm just gonna slam Candy Guardy. And I'm going to put another Shockwave marker. I'm going to put a Shockwave marker on his Pidgeot. Like a goat. And I'm going to warp out. And I'm going to admin Oscar down to a 1-card hand. And I'm going to say, you have nothing. His only win out at this point is ATM Rock. He can't... You know, I mean, if he pow, you know, he could have popped last turn, sure, that's fine. Power KO'd Regirock and gone for that Spinning Tail win on the following turn. But now he's down to 1 card. His Pidgeot is imprisoned, and there's a Regirock ready to one-shot basically anything on his board. I don't know. This is an unenviable spot to be in, and you just sort of sat there thinking, what could he have done instead? And I think there were a lot of routes. I think I made a mistake not stumping away basically all of those half damage basics, and equally Oscar's made a mistake going for this line of play. Of the admin, he does find a Transceiver, so he could still technically hit if he just raw drew the ATM here. But otherwise, his best play is to like leave the Pidgeot in the active and pass, at which point I can just quick search for like an energy for that Delta Gardevoir and Psychic Rage his Jirachi. So he really does not have like great options here. He's going to Transceiver the deck, and I think his scientist is his last prize. So we do a little take backsies, and we pretend that he didn't transceiver the deck. We pretend he transceivered the discard, and we just let him like play the adventurer instead. Because honestly, like, it's fine, you know, like we'll play like we're not. You know, it's a sad way to end what is otherwise a really, really, you know, back and forth game. And, you know, this is how the matchup is sometimes. Like, if you have a bad start, as Imprison, you can find yourself attacking like once or twice and winning the game in just 2 attacks. As Oscar plays the adventurer, he doesn't find the TM rock, and he's just going to scoop it up, and I'm going to show him that I've got the energy to take the KO. And yeah, that's the game. That was a really interesting one. I hope you enjoyed that. We've got top 4 and finals coming up, but yeah, I hope that was entertaining. I hope you know, sort of learned something about this matchup, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye bye now.